Space advantage in chess is an advanced strategic concept, and often, even though people think they understand it, they cannot really play a game and win it by pure means of realizing a space advantage. And that's why I want to show you this game by the very young Russian super grandmaster Andrei Esipenko, who outplayed his almost 2400 rated opponent from this position here, where he step by step increased his space advantage and after that convincingly won the game. In this position, black continued with the move pawn to e5, which is slightly inaccurate here, as black loses the possibility to ever strike back in the center. And basically, by playing this move e5, black says, I'm trying to close down this bishop, but at the same time, white gets this chance that he can stabilize this pawn chain. And as we will see, especially this pawn on f5, which can never be really challenged, will secure white a space advantage forever. Why can't this pawn be challenged? Well, you might argue he can try to get rid of this pawn, but white is always in time to strengthen his pawn chain so that this pawn will never go away. And meanwhile, you could also argue black has a space advantage on the queen side, but there is not so much going on there, and the position is just too closed, and even though black has space here, there are no pieces which can join. So in general, the space advantage on the king side here, it's much more usable because white has those excellent knights, and just imagine pawns coming here and here. Finally, there might be a kingside attack or the opening of some files. Also, I could shift some rooks over to there. That's all something black cannot really do on the queen side. He just doesn't have the pieces there. So let's continue with the game. Esipenko immediately gained some space with pawn to g4, which is a good move. Black got ready to fight for such key squares here so that white cannot push his pawns immediately. White played queen f2, which is a good move, getting ready to play h4. Black is not really interested in playing something like bishop g5, because giving up this bishop, I would say white is very happy to accept that, because now h4, all the pawns protected, the queen needs to retreat. And when we compare the quality of those two bishops, it might look they are equally bad, but actually I think black's bishop is way worse, because white's bishop has some chance to join the game and support some g5 push, while this pawn is really shut down by white's very solid pawn chain. So here the pawns start rolling, and black is really just sitting there and wait, and white will increase his advantage like in the game. So instead, black tried to activate his rook with rook a2, but white was not impressed, playing h4, saying there is nothing this single rook can achieve on the a file. So after that, f6 was played, which is kind of some anticipation of g5. Black controls the g5 square and also gets ready to run away with the king, which might be in big danger once the pawns advance. So white now challenged the rook, opening a second front, winning the a file. Black had no real chance avoiding that, because trying with queen to a8 would lead to white taking over the a file in several ways. One way I could imagine is just play queen to c2, threatening to take on a2, and after queen takes a2, rook a1 would win the black queen. Meanwhile, if black would take, white would also seize the a file. So black cannot really fight for it, so he took, white took, and he tried to run with the king. Now white played queen g3, which is a good move, getting ready to play g5, and black again was fighting back with h6, preventing g5 for the moment. So now white played very strong. According to a common principle, include all your pieces, and this bishop is the last piece, not really joining the attack and the plans. Yeah, this g5 push must be achieved. Queen and knight, they are already supporting. This knight is excellent as well, as it might jump into d5 whenever this bishop may be absent, maybe even jump later if the bishop is still there. The rook is also excellent because it controls the only open file and might already invade on a7 at some point, but the bishop is doing nothing. So he brought the bishop over to the king side, already eyeing the g5 square and getting ready to push. And after rook h8, knight g2, the bishop was finally joining, and after knight f8 he pushed. And now we see the space advantage in action. White is the guy who has this pawn break and who will be able to decide whether to lock the position and win on the queen side or to open the position. And that's something which is just possible due to the space advantage. And basically, when we compare this, couldn't black try to open the position? It's very different because black is not having space and thus he is having a lot less pieces near his king, and white can just stack up the pieces behind his pawns because he has all the space there. And that's one key thing. When you have the space advantage, you are usually able to switch pieces from one side to the other more quickly because you just have more space to maneuver them. For example, just look at this knight from f8. There are not many routes this knight can go, so that's something which is again caused by the space advantage of white. And meanwhile, the white knights, they can hop back and forth, look for some other routes, and that's not just an incident in this position, it's in general like that when one side has way more space. Still, the position might be defendable, but after g5, black made the final mistake, and this was to play h5. Now black doesn't have any pressure on this g5 pawn because this pawn on h6 does no longer attack it. And also those three pieces here, it's just not enough pressure as white has even 4 defenders. So white has even one defender more, and thus the white queen will be able to leave and join the action on the queen side later. And that's a key factor. Black is really running out of counterplay because he cannot increase the pressure against the g5 pawn. Knight h7 never possible due to g6 check. Meanwhile, if black would have taken this way, white would not yet be ready to move the queen away because black then could grab the pawn and fight back a little bit. Of course, white is still better and white does not need to move the queen away immediately, but white does not yet want to commit closing down the position, and taking is also a decision he doesn't want to make, and so he needs to find ways how to organize keeping the tension and moving the queen maybe over to the queen side. Also, the rook might be a bit more active, but actually white is not really scared by this rook because it's just on its own. There is no attack whatsoever happening. It's just black is a bit more tenacious here, as white cannot get the queen over that easily. Instead, in the game after h5, white could enter with the rook, and now after rook g8, queen f2. Black never wants to take here, except he wins a pawn, but here he doesn't win a pawn, but just increases white's dominance on the king side, and there is nothing he can do. Those pawns are very annoying. They restrict all the black pieces, and white can just bring more pieces in and finally throw f6 or g6, forcing the black pieces even further backwards. So, of course, black did not take there, but kept his pawn on f6, hitting the white rook with the queen. But after queen a2 now, He shuts out the black rook on g8. Very important moment. The king needed to go in the way, and now black is basically a rook down for a while, and white brings in his pieces and finally activates the knight, jumps to d5, and after that he gets an excellent square on e4 where a knight will appear soon. Of course, this is not such a difficult task for a very strong grandmaster to see. The knight is very excellently placed here, and yeah, he will also finally be able to improve the last pieces which are not yet joining the attack, which is bishop and queen, and we will have a look how to do that. And again, black is so cramped. Just look at this bishop on c7. Look at this rook. And also, especially knights, they really struggle against a space advantage because they got no routes to really maneuver. You really see if he goes this way, he's stuck. If he goes this way, he's also stuck. Yeah, there are no squares where he can go, and meanwhile the white knight, it is very flexible. It can attack here, it can stay here, it can maneuver around, and usually a space advantage is the thing which grants you more flexibility for maneuvering around, improving the pieces, stacking up pieces, while the other side just doesn't have the option. So bishop b8, white is not interested to trade anything. Keep the tension, because usually when you have a space advantage, you have more space, and so you have more squares available for the pieces, and the more you trade, the easier it will become for the side with the space disadvantage to organize a defense. For example, rook a8 I think would be in general wrong, as black could try to trade the rooks, and that's something white is not really interested in. So the rook does not really belong to a8 because there might be a possible trade. Of course, it's still possible to go away later, but rook a6 was good anyway. So after rook a6, queen b7, white improved the bishop, which might look a bit weird to you at first sight, because it seems like this bishop is attacking a defended pawn, and what's the point of that? But white is just piling up, improving all the pieces, and I think there is no argument that this bishop is better on e3 than on c1, even though you don't see how to crash through. And the point of crashing through, it will happen once you are active at a maximum. There will be the chance that you improve and you will finally have a tactical shot on c5. And in order to get that tactical shot, you first need to pile up, even if you don't see how to finally break through. So after this, king h2, white also improved the queen and saying, maybe I will invade on c6 with some piece. If the rook moves away, I will go there with the queen. Maybe I also have the idea to go in here with the rook. It's not really offering a trade because black cannot take due to this fork. And under this pressure, black already broke down. After bishop c7, white finally had the tactical shot, which is bishop c5. Maybe looks unexpected, but I think it's actually not. You improve all the pieces, and once you have gained maximum activity with all of them, there is usually the moment to look for the final strike. And black took here with the knight, but white just took. White has won a pawn now, black needs to take back. But here white gets a crushing attack. King to d8 would be answered by anything to e8 mate, while king to f8 would be answered with queen to d7, also playing for a mate. And again we see the space advantage granting us the mating attack. If this pawn would be here and black would have the space, we would not yet threaten any mate. Just imagine the pawns being on g4 and g3. There is no mating threat on f7, but here with those pawns, the king is always in a mating grid, always stuck on the back rank, which is sometimes happening if you have a huge space advantage and can get a pawn to the 6th rank. So that's it for this example. I hope I could give you some insights on how to play with the space advantage, what the advantages of a space advantage are, and yeah, finally you can apply it in your own games. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.